Alrighty, hello guys, welcome back to the channel. Diergo207 here with you. Happy Saturday? Yeah, happy Saturday to you. Make sure the audio is good real quick. Gonna have to listen to me talk real quick. Let me see how everything sounds. Make sure it does sound good. Come on. Alrighty, hello guys, welcome back to the channel. Diergo207 here with you. Saturday? Yeah, happy Saturday to you. Make sure the audio is good real quick. Gonna listen to me talk real quick. Let me see how everything sounds. Make sure it does sound good. Maybe we'll turn the music down some. Come on. Alrighty, guys, welcome back to the channel. We're gonna have the endless loop of audio. Okay, so there's that. Turn that down nice and low so you guys could maybe hear me. Just a skosh. I just don't want it overpowering me, so... then maybe we will turn it up just a touch, I guess, so we can actually hear it. There we go. That's probably fine right there. So, it's always a pain in the neck to play with music and get everything set up to how we need it to be. So, but we are back in Kaldvann once again. We're here in the lovely Trondheim, also once again. Been plucking away slowly. Haven't been too terribly inspired. I'm probably sensing a little bit of burnout here. Which is always a little dangerous to play with, but sensing a little bit of burnout, so probably be one of the last few streams I do for a while in terms of trains, because I kicked it off with that. All those Carabas streams. Can it just stop snowing? So we sit inside this business apparently. But you know, so we're gonna be kind of taming it down, wowing it back, reeling it back in here, and kind of maybe quieting it down in terms of live streams. Might do some baseball streams here, maybe some other stuff. I don't know what we're gonna do. Maybe play some stock City Skylines, you know, for a change. So wait and see. I haven't played City Skylines forever. I don't think actually that Pepsi is flat. That was. That was oh so offensive. Yeah, so maybe play some City Skylines. I don't know what we're gonna do on the channel, but for now we're back here in Nyhavna. We're here just at the south side of the Skogzoya Bridge. That leads over to Skogzoya, which I figured out. Route 43, which is situated all the way over here. It's actually quite an important highway, and I didn't realize that. So, Highway 43, B Road, so B43, passes right through Krigerhaven. This is part of the B43 right here, which actually leads into the B6, so violating all the B Road rules. See, more or less a C road kind of at this point, but because it gets grandfathered in, still a B road, and it leads to the next large bridge over here, which leads off of Orkinger County, or leads out of Orkinger County. This also being the B43 right here, and will eventually lead off Dishve towards Alvenfjord, and the B43 will come right by the Energy Recovery Company, and will terminate on Skogzoya once it gets to the other side of the bridge. So the B43 will ceremoniously end once it gets across the bridge. B roads are kind of the weird highway because they're neither a county road and they're neither a highway. Any new construction of a B road has to fit under kind of freeway guidelines, which there are plenty on the main island, but a lot of times you'll see here the B roads kind of adopting onto larger 4-lane avenues. As we kind of previously discussed, anytime that I happen to mention A, B, or C roads, because, you know, I have to explain them every single time I bring them up. for no reason whatsoever other than just my own insanity. So what have I been doing in Kaldvann since you guys last saw? Well, nothing really important. I did start to kind of build the loading area for whatever these bring in. Obviously fuel of some kind they're bringing into tank cars. I did work more on the Alvin Fuel Bridge. I did get kind of some of this area figured out, started to get some of the highway in, or some of the, the intersection in. Built up the medical center that's over here, so it's made up of more buildings than just what you see in the middle. Kind of has expanded over time, but very basic medical center, nothing huge, but does have a helipad on top. And there's Toby, he must have heard me talking. And of course, as the ambulance drop off underneath the building, which I found kind of interesting. Started to get this connector in between, because it'd be another kind of road that leads out over here. So there'll be one road here, kind of a, I guess, more rural road. This would be kind of interesting. You have one large road that leads out. You have another road that kind of heads this way. You just heads over here, heads to kind of a corner. Nothing major, just comes here. You can either go left or you can go right, or you can kind of head into Trondheim, and then the big road will come this way, and then B43 will come over here. So these hills are split by 3 roads, which I find kind of fascinating. But I did get that kind of up and over, put the crossing in. I'll have to get that set up at some point, or I'll just sit here for 900,000 days before actually I do anything with it. Through this nice S-curve, very, very nice. A lot of this area will start to kind of get forested, especially up here in the hills. They'll be kind of foresty or forested. Where's that cat of mine? Oh, he's being a man. Be a road here, and kind of a small connector road out front of the hospital. I did kind of place in this intersection, at least get it kind of detailed up so you actually have an idea of what's going on here. So it was all convoluted at first. I had, every which way going every other which way, and finally I said, you know what? Only right turns coming off of this road here. If they want to turn left, which this is basically the road out, kind of the main road out anyways, for those that don't want to go up the big hill and deal with that. This way has to go that way. Otherwise, if you want to go left, there'll be another intersection down here to go up. So you kind of have to go around. It just forces people to kind of less congestion on this one intersection, especially where it has the railroad coming right through the middle of it. What you can see here, I did place in the crossbucks and for the ways. What are you doing, Toby? That's where my gun is, buddy. Well, I mean, it's locked up, but, No, you may not have access to the gun. You don't need the gun. The other cats did not offend you that bad this evening. No, violence is not the answer. Getting even is not the answer. The war of attrition is. Just be better than them, buddy. So, did get that. Started to get some of the basic layout in, or just some buildings, just to kind of populate the area, because I'm kind of discovering I don't have a lot of good industrial-ish building assets. Like, I could build some large industries through here, but I don't want large industries. And I'm still trying to slowly figure out what is coming into here, because, on the other side we have, over in Nyhavna, we have the import of a lot more kind of fuel and oil and other sort of chemicals. We have jet fuel coming into that port, which also could kind of come into this port as well, or at least there could be something with that. They're shipping in grain to the other port, which again could be something that gets trucked over to here, or at least shipped over to here via rail. Could be a smaller regional grain silo, or so on and so forth. Maybe. Was thinking about putting the coal power plant down in here, so it's closer to possibly its own dock for coal to come in, so that would kind of also eliminate the need for the railroad to ship coal to it, because then again they're just competing with ships. Maybe there is some railroad aspect still that ships coal to this coal power plant, especially in the depths of winter. So maybe you don't need to worry about. I don't know. Like I said, I have not gotten there yet. And we have such a large area to work with, which not all of this is going to be Trondheim. Not all of this sits in the port of Trondheim, or I guess it is kind of the port of Trondheim, but not all of it, because Trondheim kind of ends, I put this hill in the way to kind of end it. And we got this big port that's stretching all the way out. At some point, this kind of transitions from Trondheim into another district. Skogsoya is not a part of Trondheim. It is its own entity. It's its own town, its own municipality. It's not a part of Trondheim. It's its own community. Has its own police department, has its own fire department. There's a medical center conveniently on the other side. But at some point, this goes from Trondheim to whatever the hell happens to be over here. This isn't Hammeren. Even, Hammeren's way back there. Hammeren's a couple miles that way. 1, 2, about 2.5 miles away, roughly. So Hammeren's not too far away, but this isn't the community of Hammeren. Hammeren is much too small, so this could probably be its own separate community, and so on and so forth. So, kind of a nice shot. But there'll be certain docks down here. One thing that I am starting to think about is automobile factories on the island. There's going to be a couple, anyways, to produce vehicles. Companies that did decide to invest. And something I realized that I haven't previously thought about before, that kind of was brought up unintentionally through a song that Mal sent me, is Kaldvann sits along the Northwest Passage, more or less, if you think about it. And let me explain. So Northwest Passage stretches along the Labrador, kind of closer to Greenland, but it comes up through the Labrador Sea, up through Baffin Bay, around kind of the northern archipelagos of Canada, past Victoria Island, past Banks Island, around the north coast of Alaska, and through the Bering Sea. And in some cases, it stretches more or less right kind of past where Kaldvann sits. So Kaldvann sits in a very unique area, and would have always sat in a very unique area. And it's, again, something I didn't think of. Now, predominantly, the Northwest Passage would be, ships coming over from Europe. Would go up through that way. I don't know if that route's still used. I imagine it might be. That's very possible. It's still possibly used. I don't know. It's just something that came up because of a song that Mal had sent me about the Northwest Passage. They were singing about the Northwest Passage. It's called Northwest Passage. And it clicked to me. I'm like, wait a second. Kaldvann sits basically in the Northwest Passage. We sit along that kind of route. So there would be, tons of shipping importance from Kaldvann. Or at least to Kaldvann, or near Kaldvann. There would be tons of importance of shipping, at least in this region already, because of just being an island. But when I realized that, I'm like, wow, that could actually really translate well into the story of Kaldvann. About the Northwest Passage really playing a big role. This could be a big meeting point for ships coming over from that way. Coming back from the Orient, bringing goods and trade over. And Kaldvann kind of being a meeting place for all that. So it'd be very interesting to see what role that has to play, and if, the Northwest Passage is still in use, which actually I could probably just do a quick Google search of that. In the past, Northwest Passage has been virtually impassable because it was covered by thick year-round sea ice. However, in recent years, climate change is allowing commercial traffic to pass through the Arctic via this once impossible route. The benefits of clear Northwest Passage are significant. Yeah, so it's there's a lot of potential. I just have to like kind of start researching it because Northwest Passage isn't something that I'm very, very familiar with. Um, I'm going to be honest with you, it's not a subject that I know a ton about. Um, that's okay. It's always a good time to start. It's always a good time to start learning about something. So yeah, I'm gonna start looking into it and seeing, what are the beneficial uses of, or what would the beneficial uses of the Northwest Passage be? Has there been any success with shipping through it because of, the year-round ice that persists up there? If they're just kind of starting to use it, then, how would this route have played into Kaldvann's maritime history, which this country would be rich in maritime history because of our island-faring nature, also being, of Norwegian heritage, and the French. The French would have a big use for this as well. Sorry, I'm just trying to get my thoughts straight here, trying to think what I'm doing. I think I'm going to build a cement plant. Have to figure out exactly. Let me see. So where's the connection with North America and Canada at again on the route? So we are off the coast about anywhere between 30 to 50 miles. I forget exactly how far. I'd have to look and see the coordinates again of Kaldvann to kind of figure out exactly where we are and how far away we are. Because that'll determine, but we're off the coast of Newfoundland, Labrador, Canada, and so we have car floats that will go in between the two. Not a ton, but enough to keep interchange going and getting cars back to North America. But predominantly, a lot of the cars in Kaldvann eventually, have to kind of start acquiring blanks, will be owned within the country, or secondhand cars that have been brought in from elsewhere. So there's real no main connection. There's no bridge that just connects the two places, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Or is it EMT? Let's try EMT. I'm trying to think. I know one of these guys has a construction factory. There we go. That's not what I wanted. It's industrial. There we go. I think, anyways. I have no clue. Yep, nope, here it is. So one of these guys has... I think this is like a coking plant. Or this could be kind of considered a coking plant. Possibly, anyways. I would think this would be kind of a coal coke plant. We'll set it off to the side because I do want coal coke. That is a factory of some kind. Hoffman. I feel like they deal a lot with steel production here or something. Not exactly what I'm looking for at this particular second. There's stuff going on up here, which I find interesting. Not really sure what that's used for. And once again, we're looking for buildings with Boudreaux. It's the same building you just used, buddy. That's a blast furnace. Okay. That is just a basic old factory. I think that is a coking plant. Yeah, that is. Just gonna type in cement. Just like the Hawaii Railroad train route, which is a 90-mile route, Hawaiian Railway route was built for trains. Yep, it was a. Yep, I remember that. Ethan, his idea was to have it all be. That's a huge cement plant. Jesus Christ. The track somehow got to go up there. I'm not doing that. Yeah, he said his cars are going to be shipped in via the mainland, which, I mean, hey, totally doable. Maybe a little hard just because of how far away Hawaii is from the mainland. I mean, that's a 6-hour flight. That's basically taking a boat full of rail cars and shipping it straight across, the country. Maybe completely doable. I have no clue. The Hawaii Railroad was cool. It was definitely a very, very lovely project to watch him work on. I know he kind of talks, I wouldn't say poorly about it now, but he's definitely like, it's kind of sucks, needs to be updated, blah, 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 blah. It's like, dude, shut the hell up. It's a nice project, all right? You did a great job on it. But Ethan's very, I don't want to say hypercritical on himself, but he's very, very detail-oriented. Route was a what if they rebuild the railroad that was destroyed by the April Fool's Day tsunami back in 1946 in Hawaii. Yeah, I mean, that's, I guess, kind of, I mean, I don't know if that's exactly how he built it. I don't know if that's just an assumption or whatever, so, but yeah, that's, like I said, it was a great project. Ethan did great work on that, and that's kind of why I decided to, ask him, like, hey, you want to come on the Carabassa project, which never in a day will I regret. We had our creative differences, and I'm just a hard person to work with because I'm an asshole, but, never in a day, never in a million years have I regret asking him to come on the project, because goddamn does he do some damn good work. He does phenomenal work, actually, for that matter. So I'm very, very happy he came aboard and worked with us. They got big ships that are built to carry real freight. Heck, oh yeah, I don't know if, I don't know how the car floats work. I know maybe on such a smaller scale it could work. I mean, we're gonna have different ports, with car floats. I mean, maybe we could say there's a car float out of here, which if I were to build, I'd have no clue where to build that, and also just finding assets to create a car float or a car float that's sizable. And that kind of industry could be a whole separate industry within itself. Of just transporting equipment and so on and so forth, back to the mainland. Alright, hold on, I'm just trying to think. What do I need over here? What do I want? Because that's kind of what I need to think about right now. What do I want here? So I want to have warehousing and stuff. It probably wouldn't hurt to have some more kind of fish warehouses or so on and so forth, to have some seafood companies that are here. So we'll probably have a few wharfs and docks that are dealing with that. Oh, it is definitely my cat. I also need to look into refrigerated container units. I think RR Mods has some. I think it'd be worth having a food distributor, with containers coming in. Let's see. I could have swore they had a reefer container pack not too long ago at RR Mods. 40-foot high cube refrigerated container. Yes, we download now. Again, I don't know if they're, they look like they are a model that you can just download them securely, Jesus. Just R mods, Jesus Christ. Freaking pathetic, their guy. So yeah, I think we need to have some sort of like food distributor, because again, that's something we have to really think about in Kaldvann, is getting food distributed to the public and food coming in from elsewhere, and feeding the population. So it would be worth having a few warehouses here that dealt with that, possibly a grocery distributor. You know, there could be former rail serve aspects of that. So I think it'd be worth to move this further down and put like a grocery distributor somewhere around here. Kind of take up a lot of the more of the complex. Sorry, hair. Got a haircut today, so dealing with that. Now, if these containers wanted to download, that'd be lovely. I'm going to go ahead and get those first rounds of containers installed. Also, JR's having a nice sale. I picked up the SD10 real quick for a few bucks. No, wait, hold on. I have to unzip it. Then I can install it. I just want it to be that way. And this download is just taking its dear sweet time. Yeah, that can't download securely thing. It's like, just, yeah, you can. Just download it. I trust this website. Our mod's pretty decent. You know, not gonna sit here and say they're sketchy by any stretch of the imagination. Maybe sketchy people, who knows? Who knows? But they all seem pretty trustworthy in my humblest of opinions. Well, that's installing. I think it'd be worth to maybe have some trucks ship, you know, bring those in or whatnot. You know, because it wouldn't make sense for those reefer containers to come off the boat here. You know, come off the boat, get put down, you know, on a truck, brought or whatever. You know, put down on a jockey truck, brought over here, put up, you know, picked up by a crane, put on the stack or whatever, then put in a well car, taken out of here eventually when the crew comes to get it, taken to the rail yard, whatever, then taken interchange, then it'd be put on a truck, it would leave via truck, and it would head out towards, it would head over to the, you know, over to here via truck, and then whatever else can come in, you know, we can have reefer units come in and ship that somewhere else. So, took down all their NS Heritage units as well as their regular NS ST70 Ace and E. Yes, they did, because it looks like JR is going to be getting ready for a new ES44 release, I believe, from Ethan. Or I'm sorry, Audi, crap. They should be getting ready for that, so... Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, here comes the endless processing wheel of death. Oh, my Cisco food distribution facility is borked. Alright, tasks are complete. Now stop pre-caching. I installed like an asset. Train some days. I mean, It's just absolutely ridiculous. Okay. Let's get those reefer containers. Okay, well, what would they be called is the question, I guess. Let's go check today. Container, maybe? Oh, there we go. Got Zim, 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 Zim. Oh, it's all Zim. Always has been. Ah, there's different ones. That was like a skin changer. Hamburg Sud. Kronos. Beautiful. CMA, CGM. They have airplanes now. Hopefully soon. Yeah, Audi was showing off some of that stuff in a AM call the other afternoon. Actually, I think it was yesterday. And I would say he's pretty damn close to releasing one, or to releasing it. It should be actually pretty quick here. So I would be expecting that stuff fairly soon. He didn't give a specific date, but that's definitely looking like it's going to be soon. Level of detail that kid's put into it, I mean, it's just incredible. It's all there. Alright, so let's see. So we're going to just go with warehouse. Something along these lines, I suppose, will do. So let me look at the, there's a distribution facility near me, so let me go to Google, go to maps, if I can find the button I need, because I don't want to keep doing this. Up the way, up the way, up the way, up the way, up to here. It's really not that big of a facility. I mean, it was a big facility. I had to walk the whole damn thing when I worked there. I don't miss working there. Okay. So it doesn't have to be huge. I mean, probably a couple of these warehouses. Looking at it on the map real quick. Better distance. So it's about 955 feet long and about 1,500 feet wide, roughly, and then about 500 feet down. It's kind of like a crook shape, and then they had a separate frozen facility. So I don't know what units I'm measuring in. Meters. Oh, I love that. I love meters because I know exactly what I'm doing in meters. Oh, my interviews. Actually, yeah, let me talk about that. My interviews went really well, actually. So yesterday I had my interview with American Airlines, and that went pretty well. They asked me, oh, I gotta see. No, that's the session. Just want to change back over to feet so I know what I'm measuring in. Nope, we already. Jaden. Root, thank you. Imperial, thank you. They just asked me, hey, how do you keep a workforce motivated? Da 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 da. And I'm like, lead by example. Don't sit in your office all day and, be barking orders at them. Especially if it's, like raining sideways outside. Be out there on the front lines with them. Be willing to suffer along with them. You're going to gain a lot of respect from someone if you're willing to do the same tasks as them. I don't want to know what that was. Um, you know, you'll gain a lot of respect from your workforce. If that. Hold on one second. Sorry, my cat and the other cat are not playing nice. And Toby's being a little shit. Look, anyways. But yeah, I mean, that was kind of the biggest question they'd asked me was, you know, how do you keep your workforce motivated? How do you know, keep people just happy and stuff like that. I mean, that's kind of the tough part is, you know, keeping people happy. Not everyone's going to be happy. But it definitely leading by example and be willing to be on the front lines with your workforce is important. Because there's nothing more than I hated when my ramp soup was sitting inside the office, barking orders at Toby. Enough. I will close the door. Fucking cat, just lay down. You want to instigate, but you don't want to deal with the repercussions. Yes, I yelled at my cat, and he totally understands me. Screw off. But yeah, nothing irritated me more than having to deal with ramp supervisors like that. You know, that wants to sit there in the office all day and bark orders, and like, I get it, they have that luxury. You know, their management, they can, you know, kick their feet up if they so want to, and, you know, I might not agree with that style, but that's the privilege I suppose they get. Again, though I believe it's wrong, that's up to them. But again, nothing irritated me more than that. And then them, you know, sitting there afterward, you know, because it's raining outside, and they're going, "Oh, it looks like you're kind of wet." Like, yeah, no shit. Like, no shit, buddy. It's fucking raining outside. Like, of course I'm wet. Oh, I think the music has ended. It has. That is loud. Make sure this actually stays a little. Maybe not that loud. But yeah, you know, just trying to make sure that, yeah, you know, the workforce does stay motivated and so forth. And if you're sitting in your office all day with your feet kicked up on the chair, you're not keeping us motivated. You're not keeping us, you know, happy. You're not keeping us in good working order. You're kind of a dickhead at this point. So, in my humblest of opinions, you know, you're not someone that I want to sit there and take orders from. You're not someone who I want to sit there and more or less in a proverbial stance, you know, follow into battle. You know, I can't really respect someone who can't lead, and I don't want to be led by someone who has very little skill in doing so. You know, if you aren't good at leading, then you have no business leading me. You know, so it is important, at least in my opinion, to lead in such a way like that. So, they really seem to like that answer, whether or not anything comes about of it, you know, is yet to be kind of foreseen. But hopefully, I get a call back from them here soon. Yeah, it was pretty straightforward, just working on a ramp. You know, they went over just the job duties with me basically, and it's, you know, you have to resolve conflicts between, you know, employees and so on and so forth who might not be getting along and stuff like that. And it's like, that's kind of the downsides. I don't want to be dealing with workplace drama, and I'm going to be kind of thrown into the fray a little bit because I gotta keep people happy and keep people, you know, or have to sit down and kind of figure out why people aren't working well together. That's kind of the tough part, is having to go through that. I need to get rid of these stuff that just doesn't work. I was just making sure that these cars can make the corner, which they can. And that works for me. So, you kind of have to sit down and make sure that people, you're going to resolve these problems that people are having with each other. And, like it did happen with me once, once upon a time, with someone who was just a knucklehead. I could not work with him. And he always on my case, always just getting in the way, and finally I had enough of him. And, we played a bit of a harmless, I wouldn't say prank, but we try and teach him a lesson the tough way. He'd always, whenever we'd be cleaning an airplane, he'd take his SITA badge off, which you can't do. And I'll admit, we kind of moved it on him because he just left it laying on the floor in the jetway, so we kind of hit it on him. And we went and did a challenge. We challenged him because he wanted to get by me. I said, actually, let me see your SITA badge first so you can, in order for you to get by. And, well, I'm not going to get out of your way till you show me your SITA badge. He's like, let me through. And I'm like, no, seriously, I'm challenging you. And he goes like, oh, funny, here, let me go get it for you. So a couple of us, including the supervisor, are up behind him, like going, why do you have to get your SITA badge? And he's like, oh, well, I don't want to wear it while I'm working. Why? Oh, because it's bulky and it gets caught on things. And it's like, and you're a firefighter, or at least a volunteer firefighter? He's not. He's a fire police. He's a glorified sawhorse, which, respect to what they do, but he'd always sit there and say, well, I'm a firefighter, I respond to scenes and assist people. And it's like, you direct traffic at best, but okay. I've already given my opinions to some people about fire police who have sat there and tried to say fire police, long story short, someone in the server one evening was basically admitting to impersonating a police officer as a fire police. And it's like, no, that's cool. Thanks, though. Good try. It's not what fire police are for, in some aspects. Albeit, depends on where you are. But where this person's located, not exactly, what they should be doing. But anyways, long story short, he got a little pissy when he found out that we intentionally moved his SITA badge. Which, yeah, we were probably in the wrong for that. But it's like, I know we've told him before, like, hey, keep your badge on you, don't take it off, because if the TSA comes along, you're screwed. Like, you are screwed. And, this company's going to get a fine, and you're going to get a personal fine, and, like, it's just going to be bad news bears for everyone, so keep your badge on. And he just wouldn't, so I was like, okay, so we did that. And like I said, probably wasn't right, but we did it anyways, and he got a little pissy about it, and I got very vocal with him, like, listen, if you don't want to listen or learn, then so be it. I've tried my best to help you and teach you and so on and so forth, because I was having to teach this kid how to drive on the ramp, and it's like, he was getting it, but anytime I tell him to do something, he'd always talk back, and it's like, dude, you can't talk back, because out here, you just can't be... You can't be talking back like this. Like, you need to listen to what I'm saying. Now, if I'm steering you into an aircraft, yes, speak up. But I'm telling you how to avoid the aircraft, and you're actively driving us into the plane. Fire police doesn't equal firefighter. You ain't running into a damn burning building. Then again, I could be wrong. Were you in the wrong? Maybe, but you were teaching him a lesson to save him. Let's see. Yeah, no, and that's the thing is, I have a very tough love mentality. I've always been tough on my brother, and I know that in the workplace it is different. You have to be very careful with how you approach certain things. I'm just looking for a warehouse, by the way, because you have your main warehouse here, and I need a cold storage warehouse, which actually literally cold storage warehouse. Couldn't have gotten any more blatant than that. Which, there a rail dock for the... Yeah, the rail dock's going to be here, I think. Perfect. So we'll go ahead and flip it like this. Is this a Christmas song? Yeah, God rest ye merry Celtismen. Yeah, no, yeah, so it's kind of a Christmas song. It's supposed to be God rest ye merry gentlemen, but they switched it up kind of for the comfort and joy. Didn't think I'd be listening to a Christmas song one day away from Easter, but actually I guess it kind of makes sense. It's all religious. I'll kind of angle it. We're just going to kind of just come off the tracks as such. Yeah, I just recognized the tune. I'm like, wait, this is a Christmas song. But no, I've always had a tough love mentality, especially towards my brother, and trying to teach him, lessons and so on and so forth. And like I said, he listens. He listens. He's a good kid. He means well. He just can sometimes have his head up his ass. Which, I mean, hey, same. Absolutely, I can have that same problem myself. I act very emotionally sometimes, and I definitely, I've just definitely had that problem a few times where it's like, I'm wearing my heart right on my sleeve, and I'm acting very emotionally. My brother, well, he can certainly be the same. Where do I want this? I mean, this kind of seems a little better. Whereas I don't like that big awning right there. I'm going to have to skin this up and change that because I don't want to say Authentic Food Company. But definitely, yeah, I kind of prefer this over the other one. Plus the loading dock here is just a little nicer, a little more detail-oriented. It's all part of the same corporation, same company, just different building. So we're gonna move this back just a little bit. Gonna push it just a little further this way, just so trucks don't have such a weird angle to come into. I'll go ahead and put the track just along here. We'll straighten that out. But anyhow, so, in my experience with training and so on and so forth, I do enjoy it. I do enjoy training. Teaching my brother how to drive a car was rather rewarding. Teaching people how to do certain tasks on the ramp back in St. Louis, the few times I did it, was rewarding. It does come down to, the individual and how they learn. And I have a very, the way I told this guy that I work with is like, listen, like, if you're willing to learn, I'm definitely willing to teach you. I'm definitely willing to work with you and find a way that you kind of learn best. Because at the end of the day, I want you to succeed. But heed my words. I can be your best friend, or I can be your biggest enemy. I'm not going to sit here and act like God. I'm not God. I don't want to be. But when it comes down to safety, if you start putting my safety at risk and you're not listening to me, I'm going to come down hard on you if I'm trying to help you correct a problem, because maybe you're not understanding it and it's starting to affect everything around us, then I'm going to be kind of tough. And if you start barking back at me, that's where I'm going to start having problems. If you have questions, it's fine, but as I'm going to be to you, I want you to remain very respectful with me, and I'll be very respectful back. And vice versa. I want you to be respectful to me, so I'll be respectful to you. So I want you, but, to understand that. But if you start showing me a lack of respect, and start approaching me in a manner that I don't like, I'm gonna call you out on it. And if you don't correct the behavior, then we're gonna have a hard time here. Because I'm not gonna teach someone who's not gonna listen. Like, I refuse to teach someone who will not listen. So we're gonna get that straight right now. And usually it's a yeah, that's fine, whatever. And then it becomes a problem. And it's like, I warned him, like, this is how it's gonna go, blah blah blah. Is that okay? Yeah, sure, that's fine. And then it was a problem. But American, like I said, went fine, because I'm getting off on a tangent. American went more than fine. They did say, expect a job offer here in the next day or so, if not just once the weekend's out, because it's Easter weekend and people are probably getting out of the office early. So they said expect an offer here pretty quick. So today was AAA, which American offered decent pay. Benefits are pretty straightforward. I'd be curious to see exactly how their flight benefits work, because I know when it comes to companies like American, because you're not directly working for American. I'm working for a company called Piedmont, which is a sub-company owned by American. It's one of their former airlines they bought out, so in order to keep the branding under their control, they used that airline's name as their sub-company that it works at the out airports. I feel like that could be something right here. What could be right here? Not sure what can go right there. We'll move along. I'll figure that out over time. I did want a food distributor. I wanted a food distributor, definitely first and foremost. That was very important to me. Do need to make some docks down through here. I think the line for where Trondheim ends and whatever this town is called begins should probably be just, let's see, I think just right here, right to the point. So I'm gonna put that marker down, and this will be a new community, although I need to get a sign for that. But like I said, so I'd be curious to see how that works, because flight benefits are important to me, especially if I'm working at an airline. I want to be able to maybe travel if I can. So I'm curious to see what they have. So we'll kind of be waiting on that, and that's something I could probably ask them, is how does that work? There. And then whatever the hell this town is. So kind of over here, maybe some more piers and ports. There could probably be maybe a dock or two through here, and I'll probably build that. But over here will be kind of more of the port-ish stuff, possibly along this as well. The actual docks themselves. But anyhow, so, because I know when I worked at Delta, the flight benefits really sucked. We were kind of the lowest status, because when you're flying when you're non-revving, it's all space available. And when I worked at Southwest, it was fine, because I worked for Southwest, so I had the same priority as anyone else in the company, albeit particular things, a essential employee, more or less, like a flight crew. Flight crew had higher precedence over me, especially if the flight was full, rerouted passengers off of flights that were canceled, or people that maybe missed their flights or had a reservation change or whatever. So people like that took higher priority over me. But generally speaking, it was always it was relatively easy to always non-rev with Southwest because the priority was the same for everyone. It was kind of a first come, first serve for most circumstances for most traveling employees. So I would always religiously camp out at the gate as instructed when we were going through our training. You want to get on that plane, you park your ass at the gate. So with Delta, it was a whole different animal because we weren't Delta. We were Delta Global Services, later Unify Aviation, whatever the hell we were called. I don't know, it was dumb. I think it was a real stupid name for a company, to be honest with you. Especially just an aviation company. Like, well, what the fuck are we unifying? Like, unifying the workforce? Like, it's dumb. No, it was just a dumb name. I hated working for them. But yeah, we just had such a low priority, and I think it got lower when we were no longer owned technically by Delta. We were no longer 51% owned by Delta. So, you know, and I understand that going into a ramp super position, and I was very well aware of this when I applied for the job. But the more I think on it, it's like, you know, to have all that responsibility, is that something I'm willing to do? You know, it's going to bring with a lot of stress, you know, be low man on the totem pole, especially if, you know, another ramp supervisor calls out or goes out sick. You know, it's going to be a lot of hours for me. You know, and I do like my free time. Now, money is good, but I like my free time. You know, I really like my free time. So it's like, how is it going to be, you know, if I'm always kind of stuck at work or always getting called into work or so on and so forth? Let me think. Let me get that the power plant real quick. Cut the roof of my mouth on a French fry. Real hot French fry, and freaking hurts. Oh, that is floating. That's just a whole ass floating. Jesus. Assuming that coal would probably get shipped into here, more or less. What does this say? That is in German. Hearing protection. That's definitely something. It's a sign of some kind. That's hydrochloric acid. Okay. Why do they need hydrochloric acid at a power plant? Curious. Yeah, so I definitely been thinking about that. So I was like, you know what? Let me get on the phone with AAA, see what AAA has to say, see what they might be offering me, so on and so forth, and you know, I'll make my decision from there. I'll go from there. I'll make my decision. You know, and I'll think about it. So AAA called up today and had my interview promptly at 3:30, and everything seemed fine. You know, they asked me, you know, why am I looking for the, you know, why the career change, and just told them, you know, just security just didn't really seem to work out. It wasn't for me. Definitely just kind of didn't like sitting all day in the same location, not going anywhere. You know, I'm fine with sitting down, but it's like I kind of have to be going and doing something, and there just wasn't a whole lot for me to do. It was very, very boring work. So just, and that was something that I was facing too. It was like, you know, I didn't see that job working out for a long while. You know, it just didn't really seem like something that I wanted to do for a long time. And definitely was kind of regretting going back into security. I thought it would have been a little more being on the go. They seemed like more of a patrol kind of company, but they stuck me in a static guard position, and yeah, we went from there. So, but AAA went well today. They kind of took me through the job. The pay was better than American Airlines by a good bit. Make sure this isn't drowning me out. I don't think it is. Let me turn it down just a little bit. There we go. That's a little better. I'm just trying to think how we set this up. So, because I don't know if I exactly want a cold drop from train. I don't think we will. I don't think there's much of a need. Maybe we don't need that. I have no clue. Maybe we should switch over to a regeneration plant. Which would require me to use my wood chip cars, but they're broken for some reason. Which actually, let me open that up real quick. BFTX. Nope, there we go. Because the script was damaged or something, which driving me up a wall. Yeah. A script error occurred while attempting to edit the properties of this asset. I might uninstall this and reinstall it, because that's a lot of my wood chip cars, and I don't know why they're that way. Let me see. Generating. I mean, this could be a wood chip burning plant. You never know. Doesn't have to be coal, I suppose. Well, that smoke is black, so I don't know. What should we use? Anyone? But anyhow, yeah, it's like I said, I spoke with them, and the conversation, like I said, it was really good. Everything went really well. You know, a lot of what we talked about was pretty straightforward, and you know, it just all, it seemed a little better. You know, and I've worked at the airlines before, so I kind of know what I'm going back into. You know, the pay for ramp supervisors, not bad, but the pay for a lesser position, more or less. You know, the pay for a lesser position, doing, you know, with, I wouldn't say not a lot of responsibility, was just much better with AAA. And, you know, I kind of thought about it. I'm like, you know, it's like, I'm always done at 11. Or, you know, latest will be scheduled 11, sometimes 9. So, like, I actually kind of get to get out at a decent hour. Rotating weekends off. So, you know, that's kind of nice. I don't really care for weekends, but it would give me a chance just to kind of be off. You know, be off with the family and so on and so forth. And maybe do things on a weekend day. Trying to think of like what I want. Thinking we're gonna probably going to end up going with this building right here. What I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to come in and just skin it up, take this texture and just kind of plop over that, then take this texture and just kind of bring it here and plop over that to get rid of that and maybe skin up my own sign. But for now, kind of bring this in, and we'll kind of drop a grate more or less. It could have a wood chip have to deal with that though. And it's awkward angle. See, I hate how it's angled because you have to kind of jerk it in real close. Well, that's kind of funny that it's in water. I don't know. This is why I suck at making industrial areas, because like I don't know what the hell I want to do. But anyways, so yeah, I got on the phone with them, and they just just went over everything, and just everything seemed better in my head. They clearly went over the benefits and everything else, everything that I could be expecting, and so on and so forth. And I was kind of like, you know what? The more I think about it, the more I'm like, the AAA seems a little better in my opinion. So I'm like, I'm kind of leaning more towards them, to be honest. I'm definitely kind of feeling AAA out a little more. I'm thinking, I could kind of see myself doing that and being okay with it, and being, at least more happier with it. Especially just the pay scale is much better. That would require a little more skill, be trained their way. Particularly, it's like they're going to be. Well, I'm going to do the same thing, but with coal. Love this ambience, just but it would require me to kind of be learning a little more and so on and so forth. So I'd have to really, what's the word I'm looking for? It's going to require me to learn how to do certain tasks. Like, I'm going to have to learn how to, unlock someone's car door when their keys are stuck in their car and stuff. So I'm going to have to be learning new tasks. And I think it'd be interesting to learn those tasks and so on and so forth. So I think it'd be maybe nice to pick up this job and maybe potentially learn new skills. I think this would be an interesting opportunity. There's my cat being a cat. Look at him being a man. Oh, it's a dude. It's a dude. I think it'd be a great opportunity, honestly. Yeah, been pretty good. Hope you've been doing all right. I think it'd be a great opportunity to learn some new skills, and I think it would be just a different speed being on the go, and kind of something that I already have, I would say, kind of enjoyed doing in the past, assisting others. I've been known, definitely have been known, and it's not something I recommend because it could definitely bite you in the ass. But I've definitely been known to pull over and just, see, hey, you good? You okay? You doing all right? Yeah, no, I'm good. All right, cool. Just making sure because you're stuck on the side of the road, so just trying to make sure you're good. Yeah, no, I'm fine. Thanks. Yeah, okay, cool. Then you go on your way. Gonna drag a few tracks through here just for empty cars. Gonna be a small yard down here, but new gig you're talking about came in late. Oh, no worries. Just talking about AAA. I was previously a security guard for a company here, and kind of got fired. Apparently, I'm a rude person. Customer service skills weren't great, allegedly. Although they had complaints going as far back as January, and they just brought them up to me now, is a little irritating. Just because, you've had these complaints for that long, and you're now just bringing them up. Not really giving me an opportunity to correct the behavior if, these are valid complaints, and, if there are, excuse me, now I have hiccups, great. If there are complaints, I really should be getting the opportunity to fix them, but, I guess I'll just go F myself, so whatever. Yeah, so I kind of got let go because, or I didn't kind of get let go, I did get let go because I'm not employed by them. So I had a couple applications out, one with American Airlines for ramp once again, because I haven't learned the first time. And then the interview I had today was with AAA for roadside battery technician, which is their kind of nice way of saying just roadside assistance, and so on and so forth. So it was pretty nice. Like I said, I liked what they had to say. Yeah, no, me, rude, rude. And I don't want to say I'm a security guard, we're not supposed to be nice, whatnot. No, we are supposed to be nice to an extent, but we're not supposed to be everyone's best friend. We're not really here to be friends with everyone. We do kind of have to be assholes to a certain degree. We do kind of have to. And see, it's hard to sit there and say, lay down the law, because, again, we're just security guards. Our job's not really that difficult. We're not supposed to, enforce the law. We're supposed to enforce the rules of the property owner and the will of the property owner and stuff like that. That's kind of our goals and what we're here to do. So I'm not going to sit here and say we're supposed to be, the nicest human beings on the planet, but we do have to be nice and perform customer service tasks, which, just kind of comes with the territory. Some people are able to do it, some are not. But unfortunately, you're not going to make everyone happy, especially when they're doing something that you have to speak to them about. And some people are just fuck you, whatever. And it's okay, I'm just letting you know. Some people get pretty pissy about it, others don't. You kind of, I don't know, it's difficult. Would AA be better on ramp than Southwest? Oh no, absolutely not. Partly because they're just a subcontractor, so I wouldn't be working directly for American. I'd be working for kind of their sub company. Be working for a company called Piedmont, which, hey, it'd still be on a ramp. I'd be performing ramp duties. I'd be around aircraft. That's fine, but it wouldn't be better than Southwest. Southwest, in my opinion, is about as good as it would get. Partly because I was working directly for Southwest, and so on and so forth. So these are all going to be very tight. Also, that building gets very close. It'd be very interesting. So I don't think it'd be better than Southwest, but it would be the best gig I probably have going up here. Because Portland is just so small that no one really has their own people, more or less. That is why. Oh, that's why. So it would be interesting to say the least to work up there. And I wouldn't mind it, hey, it's a job, it pays the bills. I just bought a car, so like, I kind of need a good job. So it'd be interesting. No, your job as security guard is to maintain security. It's not being rude. Yeah, no, if it comes off as rude, that's not your problem. So I appreciate it. No, it's thanks. But it just, I tried to make sure that my customer service, when I did have to go do customer service related tasks as a security guard, it's like getting people out of my parking garage. I have to make sure that they're able to exit if they can't. That's my job. My job's also to collect payment from them. Like, collect payment and make sure they can get in and out. That's all I'm there to do. Pretty straightforward task. Pretty hard to fuck it up. Apparently I found a way to fuck it up. Apparently I found a way to screw it up. It's kind of, as I choke and die, it's kind of my running joke. But, it just... Yeah, it is what it is at this point. I'm kind of pissed off. Yeah, I'm glad that you still come in and stuff like that and view and poke around. Yeah, no, the Vic, like I said, it was just time for that to go. The Nissan's been going well, and so on and so forth. The Vic, it was time. It was time, and I think I've seen it out there. Seemed like I might have caught it a couple of times. So it's nice to see that whomever has it is still operating it. So and so on and so forth. But to kind of wrap up on AAA, so AAA would just be a battery, or kind of just a tech driver. You're running around helping people and so on and so forth. So there will be some customer service aspect of that as well. You're trying to make sales as well. So I think it'd be a unique opportunity. It's, the ramp would get me away from people, which would be nice. Whereas AAA would definitely be, I am dealing with people. That's a big part of my job is assisting people. So that'd be kind of the interesting part. But the way I see it is like, I don't mind. I don't mind helping people. I don't mind assisting people. So, I'm not gonna. It's not gonna be the end of the world if I have to. If I have to go out and assist people. So, I can more than do it. Like I said, I have always prided myself on good customer service. It's just I have to have the ability to A, effectively do my job, but also B, just I have to also be happy at my job, and I did not feel happy at First Protection Services. I really didn't. I tried putting on the happy face and just kind of dealing with it and be like, yeah, this job's fine. It's not great. It doesn't pay well at all. But I guess that's just the territory with security. They don't pay well, which kind of a shame. But it's what it is. It ultimately depends on how much human interaction you want. I would think AAA might be easier with customer service, and people broken down would probably be happier to see you show up. Yeah, no, it's kind of the case. A big thing that's going to go with these people, though, is, their battery won't start, their keys are locked out of the car, their tire's flat, they're out of gas, which, yeah, generally when you see me pull up, you're probably a lot happier than when me as a security guard comes walking up. Generally speaking, it's like, I've had a couple interactions as a security guard. I had a girl just start crying when I walked up because we looked like cops, and I suppose she thought she was in trouble or something like that, and she had a kind of like my my ex Emily, definitely a deep-seated fear of the police. That comes from her mom, who kind of planted that in her head, like the police are bad, whatever, which her mom did a great job of scaring her and making sure she stays out of trouble, but also scared her for when she gets pulled over. Did I run out of music again? Did not. That one song finally ended. I also feel heartburn coming on. That's not good. Great. It's going to be a long night. Yep. I feel it. It's also what I get for drinking flat Pepsi. Ugh. But I paid for the damn thing, so I was gonna muscle through that. Shit, what happened here? Oh, did it connect to the same? It did, you bastard. Wait, no, did it? I don't know what it's doing anymore. I don't try not to think at this point. Nope. What did I tell you? Knock it off. I'm gonna back you up. Just gonna roll you backwards. It's fine. Just won't talk about it. It's okay. But yeah, no, generally speaking, I think people would be a little happier to see me. I know I've been very happy to see the tow truck many a times. You know, for various cars that I've managed to break down in. So generally speaking, yeah, people will probably be a little nicer. I know there is going to be that aspect of trying to make the sale and people going, you're taking advantage of me, you know, da-da-da-da, you know, I'm in a situation and you're trying to profit off of it, and it's like, well, yes and no. Obviously, my services cost money, and obviously, if you want a new battery, that costs money. I'm not just going to give a battery for free, which, you know, again, I don't know exactly how that works. Maybe I do. Maybe there are some circumstances where a person just gets a battery because that's the way it is, and that's probably a warranty. But my job also is to make a sale. I have to sell certain things. You know, it's a pretty also straightforward task, and you know, some friends of mine have joked you'll find a way to fuck that up. And particularly an old bartender that I bar backed for, he was busting my balls saying, oh, well, you fucked up the security job, and that's pretty hard to fuck up, so you'll probably find a way to do this too. I said, yeah, you're probably right. And we laughed, and he bought me a drink and whatever, so. But, let me see, was that? Yeah, that's roughly on par with what I need. You tried this Dr. Pepper strawberry? Oh, no, I have not. I haven't had Dr. Pepper in forever. When was the last time I had Dr. Pepper? I can't remember at this point. That trackage is pretty cursed, I would say. I probably actually could have drugged that down to about here and lengthened these tracks out a little bit, which I'm now going to attempt to do without destroying everything. This is going to go horribly. I can already see it happening. I haven't had Dr. Pepper in a while, but trying to eventually figure out a way to maybe, if not give up Pepsi, but definitely cut back. I maybe need to start thinking more health conscious, because that was something that my friend Emily had kind of maybe planted in my brain once upon a time. That maybe it's not time, but definitely maybe wise to start thinking about giving up the dark colas. And I'm like, yeah, you're probably not wrong. You're probably also not right now, because I need my caffeine, but I don't need it, but I definitely have a bit of an addiction to it, so it wouldn't hurt me to maybe cut back. So once I get through this round of Pepsis, I'll probably start sitting down and thinking about that, of how do I cut back, because it'll eventually kill me. We could only be so lucky. Let's see. Oh, no, hey, I don't want you. Nope, I still don't want you. There we go. That's going to be about as good as it gets. At least I'm making use of this space. I think the easiest way to help people with sales is just making yourself more human. Human-to-human connection is probably the best way to try. Yeah, you tell them straight up, you know what they're going through, how the sales pitch sounds. Yeah, you know, that's something I try to do at the parking garage, particularly with people who get stuck at the gate. They're kind of ragging on themselves and stuff like that. And yeah, I'm just kind of like, hey, listen, like it's all right, it's fine, like. This machine can be kind of, it's like it's barking at you, and you're sitting out here, and you're like, it's not the nicest machine in the world. It really doesn't like anyone. It barely likes me. It's like, I get it, but apparently that led to complaints. Now, I do think some of those complaints were maybe fabricated, because I think there may have been some stuff going on internally to maybe get some people in there that they may have wanted. It's just kind of funny that this all happened and they let me go, even though all through Indeed are openings for the company I worked for. All through Indeed are just openings for this job, and I'm like, huh, that's kind of funny. I mean, not really, but, you know, they let me go, and yet they have all these openings. Like I said, if I did have a problem and they needed to speak with me about it, then, you know, I wish they would have come to me sooner. But they didn't. And it's like, so why was this only brought up after so long? You know, why did this become such a large problem when no one spoke to me about? And then when it was, you know, apparently out of control, then we spoke to me about it. That's my problem. If you don't give me the chance to correct the problem, then it's not fair. It's not fair to me. No, they didn't really show me the complaints. Oh, yeah. Oh, always. People are definitely more likely to complain than compliment. I have rarely, if ever, have gotten a compliment and known about it. Switch to sugar. Oh, yeah. I mean, I don't know. I would kind of just like to give it up and maybe just switch to something else. I mean, I already would say I have a drinking problem, but definitely do enjoy my alcohol. My wallet doesn't. That definitely holds me back some, is the wallet on some days going, hey, maybe you should slow down, and I go, hey, maybe you're right, and then I do. Because I don't want to blow all my money. Or most of my money. Hell, I barely want to spend my money on bills. But yeah, no, definitely people are more than likely going to complain versus compliment. And that's fine, you know, I don't need a pat on the back, I don't need to be complimented 24/7, although it is nice to hear every once in a while to be complimented on my work. Because when it is only just complaint, it's like, is there any good news? Is there any good news to talk about? You know, it's like, you know, I used to have a boss at the airport who would always just rag on us and nah, this and bad that. It's like, do you have anything good to say? Because he'd start with the good and then just right into the negative. And it's like, maybe if you started with the negative and then finished with the positive, maybe we'd be a little happier. Maybe ended on a light note. Maybe not complain about the little things. Because that's all he'd do is just nitpick about the littlest things. And it's like, buddy, listen, you're wanting 5-star service for 2-star pay. Willing to do it, but like, you're not giving us any opportunity to possibly grow here either. So yeah, no, I think it was I think there was something behind it and so on and so forth. So, you know, I'm not entirely sure what was going on, but there was definitely something going on. Something that just seemed a little shady, you know. And it's like, at first they were talking about moving me to a different location and stuff like that, which the location they were going to move me to was absolutely horrible. Because I know my buddy Louie worked at that location and he hated it. You know, it was a terrible location, but it's still a job and it's still paid, so I'm like, okay. I'm not terribly fond of that idea, you know, because it's just, there's no microwave, there's no fridge, there's nowhere for me to really put my food. I don't know if there's any sort of charger. You're kind of out in the open. You're sitting in this big empty hall at an art college, and everything echoes, so it's like, I can't really talk, and you can't talk, you know, normally like, you know, I would with my coworkers over at the garage I was at when they'd stop by. So you kind of limited what you can and can't do, and it's a very stale location. And parking is always an issue. They've had security guards get towed out of there. Yeah, no, and it's just, you know, like, hey, it's like, at this point, you know, it's just like, it's fine. You know, might as well just sit at this location, even though I'm gonna hate it. Like, I'm gonna hate it. But something that my therapist had discussed with me is like, you know, even if you dislike it, it's still a job. You know, it's still a job. It still pays, and you can take the time that you have to just look for a new job. You know, you find something different that maybe you want to do instead of this. You know, and she had told me when we first started meeting that it didn't sound like I was terribly fond of this job, and I'm like, well, maybe this job might not be a good fit. I'm like, I mean, it can be. It's just, you know, security comes with its own inherent issues. So, you know, but then lo and behold, you know, it certainly came with its own inherent issues. So, but yeah, no, and that was the thing, was, you know, it was, I think that this will work out for the best in the long run, you know. So I'm trying to think of track work. I don't want this to look too cancerous, or like, you know, I'm first time playing trains over here. And it's just kind of hard with how this industry is set up, because if they had curved this to where it kind of followed the wall, or if this wall wasn't so cancerously placed right there to where I could just make a straight track go through, I would love to just take this and just make it go straight on. But instead I have to have these really stupid corners. And, you know, and I don't want to custom make something like this and so on and so forth. I don't want to custom make this. So I just wish they didn't have this. Oh fuck. Oh, it's 3:43 in the morning. What the hell? When did that happen? When the hell did that happen? That's crazy. But like I said, so when it comes to AAA and American, I'm going to think on it still, just to kind of weigh the options. Because, like, you know, where am I going to be the most happiest? Am I going to be happy with the money and driving around in a truck all day, making service calls? Or am I going to be happy on the airline ramp being a supervisor? You know, where am I going to be the most happiest, and where will I find myself the most productive? And where do I want to see myself next year, you know? Because I don't want to be looking for another job for a while. I really don't. You know, something that I talked about with MLA at the time, my then girlfriend, was that, you know, she was kind of on my case about maybe, you know, not bouncing around from job to job so much, maybe sticking it out here for a year. You know, I really need to work on longevity at these jobs. And I agreed. You know, I said, yeah, no, I am tired of bouncing around. I would like to stay at these jobs for a while. I don't want to be constantly just bouncing around, you know, always looking for, no, I don't want to launch Minecraft. No, please stop updating Minecraft. Yeah, seriously. Stop updating Minecraft. Close. Thank you. All right, so let me see here. Let me pause and take a look at what I've been doing. All right. So I have a yad. All right, cool. I have a nice ladder that Sean found very nice and pleasing, and actually he was very proud of me, and it was actually a recommendation from Ethan to just, you know, take a measuring tool, look at the heading on the tool, and then go 10 degrees to make a nice pleasing ladder, to which it is very nice and pleasing. We then come around here, which Sean hates that switch. He says I'll probably string line my cars, which I will, so I'm going to place a gas station right here for it to string line into, because that'll create a nice big firework display for all the people living in downtown over there, which you can't see because it hasn't rendered in yet. It's cool. Let me see here. We have our food the distribution facility, along with the frozen food distribution facility. Same business, just different parts. There will be a cement plant somewhere back up in this bitch. There'll probably be a track that comes off here that we can shove into to a few different warehouses and facilities. We have our coal power plant, which is back here now, which will now provide power on the coast to... And it's going to dirty this water for us, and that's what we want. We want this water to become nice and polluted. I'm probably going to put a dock in here, which will be offloading coal also to this power plant. Not sure if it's defunct or not. We'll wait and see. It could just be there for half the year, and then, you know, I don't know, maybe we'll wait and see how it works. and then we're kind of just going this way, and we're kind of running out of room. So we kind of need to figure out what are we doing over here, and that's going to come down to what is going to go on this dock, what's going to go in this small port, because I don't want this port to be the size of Krigerhaven. Krigerhaven is big, so we kind of have to look what is in Krigerhaven. Krigerhaven has fuel. Also needs to load in the water. There we go. Krigerhaven has fuel, so we have oil and stuff coming in. Jet fuel is going to be imported over here, or it's going to be imported here. And that's going to get piped straight to the airport. There might be an ability to load some tankers to go to some of the other airports, like Steinettebucht and Trondheim Centrum Lufthaven, and so on and so forth with that. So we'll worry about that here in a little bit. We have our grain facility. We have the general dock here, which will also kind of deal with I left some like hoppers right on the tracks. What a dick. What a dick. Can't even clean up after myself. We have the general goods dock over here, which deals more with fishing and other general and assorted goods. This is kind of just be random tracks at best, although it looks like I was placing a coal offloader here. Okay. And then we have the container port. Okay. So maybe it'd be wise to make a regional container port here for inter-island stuff. At least one track. Ultimately, happiness and productivity are both very important, but most important is making sure you can support yourself. I definitely understand not wanting to... Oh yeah, no, that's the thing is, I now have a car payment. I didn't want a car payment, but I needed to get out of the cars I had. I could have picked up the Vic. Just not in this economy. So now I got a car payment, I got stuff to support, I need to start saving money. I realistically would like to be able to go out and do things too while working, because I don't want to just pay for bills and then not have money. So we'll wait and see how that works. I'm sure you guys will figure out a good system. I was always fascinated listening to you guys talk about your rosters and routes and roads. Is this TRS 19 or 22? 19 still, I haven't upgraded 22. You know, and I want to upgrade because 22 has some really great features that I would like to use, especially being able to take an object and kind of modify it, manipulate it the way you want. It's not just stuck, which actually make it nice to populate cars on hills, because instead of having a car floating now, you can actually have a car parked on a hill. You can rotate it around. I forget what it is, but it's like, you know, you can actually like manipulate it to actually be angled to park on the hill. You could do that stuff because I can't make this hill populated with cars. I can't do that. So, and it kind of sucks because I would like some cars coming down the hill for certain scenes, but I can't do that. So if I went to 22, I could, but I'm still on 19 also because 19 is the most compatible version. 19 is the most stable version. Sean just finally upgraded to 19, so it would be hard to upgrade to 22. Plus, not a lot of people. I mean, I don't want to say not a lot of people, but it doesn't seem like a lot of the user base that we're going for has 22 yet. So it'd be a little unwise of us to start going towards 22. Yeah, object rolling. There we go. I didn't know if you two had messed around with multiplayer server in 22 yet. Oh yeah, no, and that'd be the great thing is if we could have multiplayer surveyor, because then we could actually maybe more efficiently work on the Carabasset. There's no point because this is just a private project that I'm working on, so there's no real need for me to get multiplayer surveyor, particularly for this project. But for the Carabasset it would work out well. That's also something else I need to figure out too, particularly with this project is the railroads that operate on or within Kaldvann, their rosters and getting them represented more. Unfortunately, there's going to be some Genesee and Wyoming companies within, because it would just make the most sense. They're around the world. They would be here too. So there would be some G&W companies operating out in these parts. So getting those figured out and where do they operate, and kind of figuring out, hey, just more of the track system and the track network around the country is where is it going? where do I want it to go? And, kind of figuring out what companies would be operating in those particular regions. Because again, it's like over in Europe, they can pay to have the trackage rights for that region. Multiple companies can if they so wish. There are areas where companies own their own tracks, particularly the port of Kriegerhaven is a Eimskip port. It is owned by Eimskip. Eimskip operates their trains at the Eimskip port. So you won't see a Kaldvann National train in there. You won't see a Kaldvann Nordbane in there, or any other company in there for that matter. It is strictly a Eimskip railroad, but also I need to get more trains excuse me, painted up in Eimskip colors, because again, that's something I don't have a lot of. Man, my voice is starting to lose it. Uh-oh. I feel like that's tight. Nah, it's too tight. Is it? Yeah, it's tight. Let's shallow it out some. Did we lose music again? We did. We've officially run out of music. Yeah, I can play this. I'm just glad it didn't give me an ad. Nah, it's I mean, Sean has his fictional railroads, and I have my fictional railroads, which we've definitely had more than enough fun playing with them. The Carabasset's still one of the staples, and so on and so forth. And to have all the support from the community helping us on that project is incredible, and to even have some new support from some new members, and it's been wonderful in getting content for the route done up. It's been great. It's been fantastic. But when it comes to Kaldvann, this is a complete product of me. Sean has had zero involvement with it. He's had zero involvement with the paint scheme. That's all been me. I did that paint scheme up, albeit I've had some people kind of paint some stuff for me over time. I used to have ST70Ms that I painted, but they all went faulty when I came over to 19 from Tane. But like, I forget who did this. This might have been Mason, but he did the C44-9WL. But the paint scheme's all mine. I haven't painted any of these units personally. We had a 50, that's never worked. The 45E's never worked. I need to finish that C40-8W, and none of my ES44s have ever worked, ever. And it's kind of disappointing, because I would like to use them, but they've never, ever worked. But this is kind of a rough roster at this point for Kaldvann National. But you get the idea there. Railroad gets stuff done. I don't have any 4-axles done for the railroad. We do have a nice caboose, though. The caboose is very pleasing. Was very, very happy with the caboose. But yeah, none of the other units work. We do have Zisisvel. Very happy with the reefers. Love the reefers. Yeah, I've struggled to come up with different companies. Cause also, this map is huge, about the size of Rhode Island. This is the Eimskip Railroad that I drummed up, although I need to get that figured out. So I also need to get other things painted up, handrails, that box right there. This is an unfinished scheme, but this was all me. I kind of like the silver fuel tank. It's kind of nice. I might leave that. But yeah, there's other companies that operate around, but it's like, where? Where do they operate? Are they operating down here in the peninsula? Are they operating in Hellsport, the county? Are they operating down there? Are they operating over here in the east? Are they operating down in the French district? Are they operating over here in the German district once it load, or the former German colony? On the East Coast. Where are they operating? Where are these different companies operating? Where is the iron mines? Where are the gravel quarries, the pits and stuff like that? Where are a lot of these? Yeah, no, definitely. And I'd have to maybe talk with Sean about helping me with weathering, because weathering is something that's still beyond me. But yeah, so it's definitely gonna be figuring out like where are things going still, who's operating where, where are they? Oh yeah, no, it's a huge map. It's just me passing time during COVID that's just turned into this massive project that realistically I could get done eventually. TM, much like the Carabasset, because again, I'm also working on the Carabasset still. The Carabasset has come quite a ways since its rough origins. Once upon a time, a small little hand-built route that has now morphed into the monster it is, and that route's pretty hefty. I can safely say I will never do a project this large ever again anywhere. It's also safe to say that working with Dems, albeit very nice, is also a pain in the ass. Just comes with its own unique headaches and such, so... Starting to get tired, crap. But this would probably be Kaldvann national territory, considering, close to the capital and so on and so forth. But I don't have any 4-axles to operate down here. I'm just using whatever 4-axles I can find that I just want to operate for the day. We did have a roster at one point that I think Sean helped me drum up. If I can find that real quick. Let me see. So Kaldvann National, with pride and dedication we forge on for our country, would be using the GP10, GP35, 38-2, SD40-2, 45-2, 70 ACE, and the AC44WL. Which aren't bad trains to have, but just yeah, just something a little more meat and potato. Like, I just feel like that's just kind of a very basic roster. Yeah, I'm probably gonna be wrapping this up here very shortly because I'm A, losing motivation, but B, just kind of like not sure what else to do here, because like it was already a struggle to put these tracks in here. What I should really do is build the parking lot for this facility, get the transformer up, connect it to the power grid, and then maybe detail around it to see how I like it, build that port or the dock for the coal to come in, make it look a little overgrown because maybe it doesn't get used too often. Maybe they're relying more on rail as a reliable source of transportation. So do all that stuff, and then I don't know, just put I think it'd be wise to put warehouses in around this facility. Just put warehouses and storage facilities, and I think it'd be wise to have maybe a small water treatment plant down here as well. Maybe a sawmill would be kind of a good idea, or a lumber distributor. Actually, that'd be a wise thing to have, as a lumber distributor. But just different warehouses, and that's what I kind of need to do. And I think I'm getting away from that because I'm trying to think of grand, industries to build. And it's like, no, just basic stuff. It's a port. It's not, you're not building huge industries out here. Not like this incinerator nearby. Yeah, that's the thing. Well, the thing is how far north we are. And considering we're pushing into, the Arctic Circle, dealing with ice in the ports, and how dangerous shipping is in the wintertime, you know, it's probably wise that, you know, shipping up here is essentially, in most cases, a half-year thing for some of the smaller ports. Particularly down here, they're looking at, you know, shipping being half a year. You know, regional shipping, this is the regional shipping port, more or less, for boats that sail inter-island, kind of, sort of, transporting goods in or around from one end to the other. You know, you can do it, there is profit in it, but you're never going to beat the railroads because they can do it better in sheer volume. You know, so there's a lot of interdependency between the ships and the railroad. The ferry service is something that kind of is always going, no matter what, because it is an essential service. But, you know, even the fishing ports kind of close or get scarce in the wintertime, just because there's not a lot to do. Yeah, definitely, maybe something like that. You know, bringing in salt wouldn't be a bad idea. I definitely think more about also exports too, because the exports we're bringing out of the country. We are a mineral-rich country, considering our volcanic proximity to the volcanoes. You know, this large part of the dam. This is Iceland, and this is a nice string of volcanoes right here. And I have written into the history of, we do have a volcanic history. We do have a volcanic activity here on the island, albeit not like Iceland. It's more maybe along the lines of Hawaii. We're sitting over a caldera, and as the continent moves, it just kind of shifts and comes out in certain places as we move down the line. You know, volcanoes will go dormant, and so on and so forth, as we just kind of keep moving down the line. So, but regardless, you know, it's like, you know, we are in a mineral-rich country. There could be some smaller iron ore deposits that got pushed up to closer to the surface. So there could be some iron ore that's worth looking into. Expect Port Harbor, fueling boats, plenty of large cargo ships for ore or something. Yeah, I was looking earlier, and I apparently have the Edmund Fitzgerald as a model in game, which I didn't know about. But definitely, you know, we have a fuel port down here in Kriegerhaven. You know, so we deal a lot with importing fuel down here, and this isn't too far away. This is within 6-7 miles, maybe even 8 miles from, it's probably closer to 6 miles away from here to here. So I mean, you don't want to build a huge port, because the biggest port is down here, but this is owned by a company. This is a company-owned port. This is owned by Heimskip, so that's more of a municipal port, more of a government-owned and backed port, you know, owned by the National Port Authority, whereas this is a privatized company that owns the land that it sits on and then goes from there. So they deal with their own stuff, and it's very profitable. You know, they still ship stuff out to the rest of the nation, but generally speaking, this port is a little more functional than the rest. It's the larger port in the region. The General Port Authority kind of has this larger port complex. You know, as a smaller, you know, and much older but recently reactivated intermodal area over here in what is the old port. This was the original port that would have sat here many, many, many moons ago, but of course as the country grew around it, they kind of outgrew the space and needed to expand, so they would have expanded over there into the new port, or Nyhavna. So it really depends. So I kind of already have the container-isms going on here, which also can kind of, this would probably actually be where the regional container port is, for just inter-island transportation of containers. The rail service was cut off, as again, anything coming into here has probably been put on a truck, so it's more efficient, whereas containers going elsewhere were put on container stacks and are transported. There probably will be an intermodal yard on the other side of the island, at another kind of smaller rail yard down here. As for regional distribution to local businesses. But anything bound for here that needs to be transported regionally will probably be put on a smaller ship and transported around the island, or even local business or industries or businesses that have goods or wares that need to be exported out of here can put it in a container and then ship it regionally, to save on truck traffic, because there is incentives in the country to do that, to instead of putting it on a truck to ship and putting another car on the road, to maybe ship it via ship, to put it on a boat, to send it to the intermodal yard and have it put on a train, to help, because it is a bitch to get places. So, but there's a lot to it, and I spend hours just thinking about these things and planning and scheming and going on about it. But I am trying to focus a bit more on the rail infrastructure. Oh, hey, look, that same industry I put down on the other side. I am trying to focus a little more on rail infrastructure as of late, just because I would like to actually maybe do some operating. Over here I built a bakery, and I'm going to be doing a bit of a smaller sawmill and lumber distributor. So I built this complex back here to kind of fill out industry along this section of the port, long-standing industries. And I think a bakery is something fun. Again, it focuses on food, which will be feeding the city. That food distributor will come in handy for regional distribution, or even national distribution of food. The odds are getting more prevalent. But yeah, like I said, I'm always scheming these things up, and it would actually be kind of fun for me to sit down at some point and really drum up what industries are where, and kind of do something like Mal was doing for the Carabasset, and working on locals and how they all operate, and what locals and work what. This yard kind of down here works this whole area. This area at one point was more industrial busy, but has since seen pickup in what it does. I'm sure Kaldvann National would have pushed for bringing more coal to the power plant via rail versus ship. Probably would have offered better incentives, and considering you can year-round ship coal via rail versus realistically you have a lot of problems in the winter with the heavy storms, makes it difficult. So, but that's probably all we have the time for, because I'm about ready to just fall to the floor. But I appreciate y'all for watching. Good to hear from you, Chris. Glad to know you're still watching and stuff like that. Fun at work. Hopefully I'll have a job by Monday, or at least get an offer. But anyways, I'm out. I will talk to you guys in the next one. Take it easy.